Hi guys, my name is Natalia and welcome back to my channel. So today I want to share like a mini book haul with you. I'm saying mini because there's not that many books, but I still wanted to share them with you. So some of them I did buy and some of them I borrowed from the library. And these are just like all the books that I got recently, not necessarily at the same time. It was over some period of time, but it was fairly recently, so let's get into it. Maybe I will start with the books that I borrowed from the library. So the first book that I borrowed is called The Villa. I really love the cover. I don't know, it just like really caught my eye. It's so pretty. So it is a thriller that follows a writer and her friend who are staying at like an Italian villa during the summer, and they stumble upon a decades-old mystery. And as they try to solve this mystery, they will like really start digging into like the eerie history of this villa and many secrets that it is hiding behind its walls. So it sounds really interesting. It's not really that long. It's like less than 300 pages. So I think I will probably read it pretty quickly. It does take place during the summer and technically it's still summer. So I think I will read it soon, so that I still get the summer vibe. And yeah, it sounds really promising. The second book that I borrowed from the library is called The Only One Left by Riley Sager. I read 2 books by Riley Sager before. The first one was Home Before Dark, and I loved it so much. It's one of my favorite thrillers of all time. And then after that, I read The House Across the Lake, which honestly was one of the worst thrillers I've read of all time. So I have like a really mixed experience with this author, but nonetheless this book has some pretty good reviews. A lot of people seem to have enjoyed it, so I thought I will give it a chance. So in this book there's like a nurse that is hired to take care of the last living member of some family, and apparently the story is that basically she killed her family. And as the nurse delves into the family's dark past, she ends up uncovering some chilling secrets and ends up realizing that the real danger might be closer than she thought. And again, I also really like this cover, so I'm excited to dive into this book and see what I think about it. Okay, one more book I borrowed from the library. It's actually I borrowed it from a digital library. So I recently got an iPad and I decided to download Libby. Oh, it's not sponsored or anything like that, but it is basically like an app where you register your library card and then you can borrow ebooks for free basically. Well, sometimes you do have to wait a little bit. It depends on how many people want this specific ebook, but it is fun, and I think it's definitely a nice way of reading books, especially for people on a budget. So yeah, I started using that recently. I guess I should have done that sooner. I don't know why I didn't. But the book I got on Libby is Fourth Wing. So yeah, last year it was a really popular book. I think one of the most popular books of last year. And I might actually end up buying the physical copy, but anyway, I don't have it right now, and I saw that the book was available, so I just borrowed it. I guess I can just read it in the ebook form first, and then if I end up really liking it, I can buy the physical copy as well. So here I have this book. I haven't started reading it yet, but I will probably start pretty soon. So in this book, basically there is like an academy where they learn fighting and riding dragons. So it sounds really cool. It also has the enemies to lovers trope. That's basically all I know about this book. But just those 2 things make me really excited to read it, and yeah, I will tell you whether I think it's worth the hype after I'm done reading it. Okay, now let's get onto the actual physical books that I've purchased recently. The first one is called The Stolen Heir. It's actually like a spin-off to the Folk of the Air trilogy. I have it here. It's one of my favorite series of all time, and I highly recommend it. I also do recommend you read it before reading this book. Technically you don't have to, because these are like separate series, but they do make a lot of references to the previous characters and relations and all of that, and I just feel like if I hadn't read the Folk of the Air series before it, I would be so confused reading this book. So I definitely recommend you do read that series before starting this one. But basically it is like the same world. It's just that we follow different characters in this book. We follow Soren and Oak. Oak was actually the younger brother of the protagonist in the original trilogy. So basically Oak and Soren, who is like in exile right now, they will work together to navigate a treacherous political landscape. And yeah, I predict if it's similar to the original trilogy, it probably will have like a lot of political intrigue, a lot of betrayals, and all of that. So I'm very excited to read this book and just get back into the magical world of Elfheim. Another fantasy book that I purchased, it's also like a spin-off to another series. It's called Once Upon a Broken Heart, and it is a spin-off from the Caraval trilogy, which I read and I loved it so much. But I've heard so many people saying that this series is even better than Caraval, so I'm really intrigued. So the female protagonist is a completely new character, but her love interest is essentially Jax, who already appeared in the Caraval trilogy, so I do remember him a little bit. But basically Evangeline has always believed in true love and happy endings, until she learns that the love of her life will marry someone else. So in order to stop the wedding, she will make a deal with Jax, aka Prince of Hearts. But she will learn that, bargaining with an immortal is essentially a dangerous game. So I'm really excited to pick this one up. Also, the spine is really pretty. So the next book that I purchased fairly recently is The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. She is the author that wrote the Inheritance games, which I really enjoy. But this is another series of hers, and it sounds so interesting. So in this book, we follow a group of teenagers that were recruited by the secret government program because they have some exceptional skills, and their task is to solve cold cases. And as they are doing that, their own personal demons and chilling secrets will come to light. So I'm really excited to read it. The premise sounds so intriguing. I'll let you guys know what I think. And the last book that I want to mention in this video is called Carry On by Rainbow Rowell. So for those of you who don't know, I originally come from Poland, but I moved to Korea 3 years ago. Yeah, so I originally had the copy of this book back in Poland, and I read it a few years ago, and I remember I loved it so much. But I think when I read it, it was just a standalone. It didn't have the other books in the series that came out later. So I didn't read them, and then I don't know, I just forgot about the series, I guess. But lately I've been feeling that I want to revisit this series. So I want to start by rereading this book, and then I will read the other 2 books in the series. And yeah, I'll just see whether I still love it as much as I used to. This book is basically a fantasy book that follows Simon Snow over here. Oh my god, over here. And he is a chosen one in this magical world of wizards, and he will also end up falling in love with Baz, who is like his grumpy vampire roommate. So I mean, it's just like a really nice fantasy book that talks about magic, and it does involve some romance as well. So I'm really excited to reread it. Okay guys, so these were all the books that I got recently, you know, either from the bookstore or from the library. Let me know if you've read any of these books and what did you think about them. Also, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel. I would be so grateful, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!